When I graduated back in May 2024, I had around $30,000 in student loan debt and around $6,000 on my car. So total $36,000. By February 2025, so 8 months later, I had completely paid off my car and my student loans, and I was debt-free. Because of becoming debt-free, I was able to save up a lot of money from my job and then quit my job earlier this January with plenty of runway so I can find my next opportunity. And I did all of this without sacrificing any of the things that were really important to me. I still went on fancy dates. I still went and played golf. I still traveled around the world. I had an Australia trip and a London trip. I had all these trips in 1 year, even while I was getting debt-free. And in this video, what I want to do is share exactly the steps I took so that you too can become debt-free and get that financial flexibility that you need in your life. So before I start, I want to make sure that I make something absolutely clear, because I think it's a shame, because most people think about debt in terms of what do they have to give up. They think about it as, I need to sacrifice this thing. I need to sacrifice my $5 Starbucks habit. I need to sacrifice all of these other things in my life. And I think it's not good because, well, anyways, $5 Starbucks is not going to make that big of a difference in your financial future. Trust me. You're arguing over pebbles when you really should be looking at the big rocks, right? But the secret is not about giving up stuff, but choosing what not to add in the first place. So I'll give you an example. My values, personally, I value my health, so eating very good quality food and having a gym membership, right? I value travel. That's something that's very important to me, going around the world. And I value having my own space. So I wanted to have a place where I didn't have any more roommates, because that was something that was very important to me. And since those were what was important to me, I spent the money that I needed to so that I could have those things. I had my own place. I traveled. I had 2 international trips last year. And I had a gym membership and I ate healthy. I splurged on the money and I spent time and money cooking and getting good food into my body, right? I went on dates and I spent money on food, right? I would have $100 or $200 on a bill, right? Just so I can have good food. But you know what? There's things that I didn't add to my life that I didn't care. For example, my apartment didn't have a microwave. So I never bought a microwave. I didn't use a microwave for a whole year. Furniture. This is what I was talking about, the big rocks, right? The small pebbles are like the $5 Starbucks, but the big rocks is like, oh, that $1,000 couch you got from Rooms To Go. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Rooms To Go. A lot of my furniture is Rooms To Go. But I'm not trying to hate on Rooms To Go at all, but what I am trying to say is that a $1,000 couch may not be worth it. So I didn't have a couch in my apartment, right? I didn't even have a couch in my apartment. I just had, my desk, and then I had a bed, and then of course the kitchen stuff. My clothes I got from Goodwill, right? I'm not too much about getting fancy clothes, so I either have the clothes that I owned back in college, or if I was getting new clothes, it was from Goodwill. So I wasn't going and buying like $100 or $150 shirts from the big fashion brands, And so I wasn't adding all this stuff into my life, and I was able to keep all my living costs down significantly because of that. So even though I was going traveling, I was playing golf, I was going on dates, and I did all of this stuff, I was still able to consume much less than my salary, which at the time was $5,000 per month after taxes. And so the question you need to ask yourself with any given purchase is, would you lose sleep over it if it wasn't in your life? Like, obviously, you don't have it in your life right now. So do you really need to have it in your life? or is it just a nice to have? Like a microwave. A microwave is nice to have. If the apartment I'm in has a microwave, great. That's awesome. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to go out and buy a microwave. I think it's just beneath me, right? Same thing with a TV. Like, some people like to splurge on having like really nice TVs, like OLED and everything like that. I had like a very small mini TV that my parents bought me when I was in college, so I brought that with me. And my apartment didn't have a TV. My first apartment didn't have a TV, and then my second apartment did have a TV, so I used that one because it was bigger and nicer. But I would never buy a TV for myself. Like, I would just use the small TV because that's good enough for me. I don't watch too much TV. Okay, with that mindset in the way, like that's the core mindset. If you take nothing else from the video, like that's the most important thing. Get the mindset of, I'm only going to buy things that I actually truly need and want and I desire in my life. All these other things that are just nice to haves, I don't need. I can just forego it. You do that, you'll be fine. But let's get super tactical so that you can actually have a logical step-by-step plan of like how to actually get out of debt. And the first thing, of course, I mean, there's no surprise, have a budget, have a plan, right? You have to make a plan, or a plan will be made for you, right? So I knew I was taking home $5,000 after taxes, and I said, okay, I totaled my living expenses, like this is what I need to pay, this is my rent, this is, my food. I did all of that, and then I was like, okay, now that I have this, put some fun money, and I'm like, okay, I can reasonably live on $2,500 a month. Like, that's reasonable for me. So then, okay, if I can do that, then I can just throw the rest into paying my debt off, which is how I did it. Basically, rather than going from, oh, this is how much I'm going to throw debt and then trying to figure out everything else, I just said, okay, these are my expenses. This is how I want to live, and this is my budget for it. And then everything excess above that is what I threw at my debt. So paid the car off, and I paid my student loans like that. Now, if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't budgeted out, what would end up happening is I wouldn't be able to know how much I should be throwing at the problem. Because, the time when you have your paycheck and the time when you get your credit card bill is at different times. So because of that, it would be really hard to check, like, oh, like, how much money should I send? Like, I don't want to send too much money because then I can't pay off my monthly credit card bill. And it's like, okay, well, the easiest thing to do then is just have a budget and stick with that. All right, step 2, this is again kind of piggybacking off of that first earlier mindset that I was trying to instill in you, is I want you to really pick 2 or 3 things or categories to really focus on. Like, this is super important to you, and you're going to splurge in it. Everything else, be frugal. Find the cheapest option that you can, right? So for me, that was health, so gym and good food. That was travel, going out on international trips. I have family around the world, so being able to travel internationally is very important to me. And then having my own space, so having no roommates. Those were like my 3 things. So I was willing to spend the money for those 3 things. Everything else, like I said, I was very frugal. I didn't spend money on, designer brand clothing or shoes or furniture or microwaves. Everything else, I was very frugal. If I didn't need it, I didn't have it. And if I did need to, obviously I need clothes, I just bought the cheapest option. So, and then lastly, step 3 is pay your debt first, right? I know they say pay yourself first, but when you're in debt and your goal is to get debt free, you really should pay your debt first, because then you won't be tempted to use that money. So obviously you have to do the budget first, otherwise you won't know how much to throw at the money, or sorry, how much to throw on the debt. But essentially, after you have that budget, you know exactly how much money should be going to your debt every single month. So as soon as you get the paycheck, okay, let's automate it. Let's send the money straight away So it's not even in my bank account. There's no chance for me to actually spend it, right? I find that when you have a big buoyancy, it's very easy to spend money on things that you may not need or things that are a little bit excess. When I got debt free, I actually found that, okay, now I have this extra $2,500 in my bank account. So it was very tempting to definitely just start spending a little bit more than I usually did. And I did spend a little bit more. I will be honest with you. My spending went from around $2,500 per month to around $3,000 because I moved into a nicer apartment. It was in downtown Houston, so I was a little bit further away from work. So I had a larger commute. My price went up as well, but it was a nicer place and it was closer to a lot of the stuff that was going on in the city. So that was something that I appreciated a lot. But when you have the debt, that's the most important thing. Pay it off first, because if it's in your bank account, then it's very easy to get tempted and use it on something else that you don't really need at this point. The point is to get debt free, and then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. Anyways, if I want to leave you with this is becoming debt free was actually one of the best decisions that I ever made in my life. I'm so grateful that I did it because it's allowed me to be very flexible with my situation. I know not everyone's able to just like quit their job because they don't like it, right? So the fact that I can do that and I have runway and I'm able to live off of my money and not have to work for a good period of time is something that I'm very lucky to do. Like I'm just very fortunate in that regard. So I think becoming debt free is a great thing, and hopefully this video helps you accomplish that. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.